About 2 years ago, we're sitting at a coffee shop, we're catching up, and you get this text, and you had an audition for a big project.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
that's right. Yeah, you were right.
Yes, and it was for a Meek Mill music video.
Yeah, because we were at Starbucks, and I was like, oh snap, I just booked this project. I had no idea it was Meek Mill. The director wants to talk in like 20 minutes or something. Didn't I take the call right there?
Yeah, I was like, do it. Like, yes. Are you kidding me?
Dang, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was dope.
So how did it feel? Because you had just come to LA and then you're working on this like world-class artist, the biggest thing you could dream for. And I remember that the music video was this story about boxing.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like you hear, oh, hip hop music video. It's not some like girl twerking. Like you had a real dramatic role.
Oh, yeah. I got to like really throw in my acting chops. It was great because, like, yeah, I had just got here and I had been commuting from Las Vegas for 1.5 years, though. So to finally decide to come here, didn't really have much, and to book something like that big, that quick, and I was the leading role, like. So
you were coming from Vegas to here for auditions and for like a day shoot and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so what happened was I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, and I got to a point where I was like, you know, if I really want to pursue my dreams and aspirations, then I can't do it from Columbus, Ohio. So one random day, my grandma helped me pack up my car. Didn't really have a destination. I wanted to come to California, but somewhere along the road trip, I decided to just stop in Vegas because I had family there and I knew I could crash as long as I wanted to. I stayed there like 2 days though and had to get my own spot. I couldn't do that now. No offense, I love my family, but I had to go. And at the time, 4 hours to LA sounded a lot better than 2,000 miles from Columbus to LA. Yeah. So I ended up commuting back and forth for 1.5 years. Some weeks I would be in LA like multiple times. So I would go there, come back in the same day. I mean, like, it got so exhausting. So yeah, 1.5 years of like really doing what's considered the impossible, to be honest.
But you did it, which is something that I have admired about you. We haven't spent that much time like in person, but I feel like I've known you for a long time.
I know, right?
Yeah, because we connected on Instagram, and I think I was working on a project called The Friend at the Door. It was this like very dark film that I was working on with my friend Scott, and I found you looking through like, you know, the hashtags of like actor and actress.
Yeah.
And like I saw you, and like you had the look of like, oh, she would be perfect for this role. So I messaged you, and then you did an audition for it. The project never went anywhere, but we stay connected.
Yeah.
And I have seen you consistently for the last like over 3-4 years. Always have a new project. You're either singing or dancing, or you're writing something, or you're acting, you're modeling. I think that is one of the keys to actually making it in our industry. Because I'm afraid that young people especially, they think, oh, I come out of college, I want to do this, I will get this cover, walking down the street at a pharmacy, some big shot producer is gonna find me, and then I'm gonna be the next like Black Widow, and I'm gonna be in the Avengers. And so far, what has been your experience regarding that and the projects, like the big projects that you have gotten? How has that happened for you?
Well, no one discovered me at a gas station. You know, that would be great. That would be so nice, but that's not how it works. You got to wake up and be willing to believe in yourself every day. It's the behind the scenes work that no one's talking about. Like, taking the time to make sure you have an agent. Like, that requires work. Not only do you have to make sure your packaging is good, like your headshots, but you need to have something visually, aesthetically that they can look at and know that you're capable. Like, you can know you're capable, but these people don't know you. You know, you could be beautiful, but can you act? Do you have talent? Are you like, do you have the etiquette to be a lead on a whole production? Like, can you lead that? Because that actually takes expertise. It takes practice and time. So it's work. Like, you really have to work for this, and then you're going to put in a lot more work that no one sees than what you reap. So like, yeah, now I could be like, oh, I have this commercial and that and this and that, but like, I'm still doing the same work every day. Like, it's not like I don't have to work a day of my life. Like, those are day rates. Like, let's keep it real. You know, you get you a nice little day rate, decent buyout, but it's LA, so that covers what? Your rent, your car note, maybe a few luxuries, but you need to book something else. So I may have to do like 20 auditions just to book one. But I have to do the auditions, right? So it's work.
Yeah. So how did you get your agent? That's a question that I ask everyone, because I think people starting out, they don't have a way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
How did that work for you?
I came from doing a lot of brand ambassador work. And so if anyone does brand ambassador work, you know that you have to submit like your headshots and things to like the brand ambassador agencies.
And what is brand ambassador work for like people who don't know?
Oh, so like anytime, it's like event work. So big companies, small companies, if they're doing an event, a lot of times they want event models, decent looking people to just show up, work their stand or hand out their flyers, whatever the event may be. That's brand ambassador work. So I came from doing that. And in my head, I was like, if this is considered promotional modeling, this is literally how it clicked. Yeah. I was like, well, I want to be the person in the pictures. You know, if I'm handing out a flyer, like I'm like, how do I be that girl in the picture? And I'm like, if this is promotional modeling, then I probably just need to email actual modeling agencies, like some decent pictures or something, and somebody will hit me back. And that's how I did it. I Googled like modeling agencies in Los Angeles, and I went to each individual website, and however their submission process worked, because it says it on there,
So how many did you do before you heard back?
I don't know, Axel. I looked at their websites, okay? If I didn't like the website, if it looked like old and crusty, I was like, I'm Gucci. Like, I'm not. So if I liked the website, I basically submitted to every reputable modeling agent to my standard. So whatever number that is, I don't know. But I emailed all of them. 3 hit back, 1 signed me.
So it was more than 10?
Way more than 10.
Way more than 10. More than 20?
Probably. I don't know. Because it's a lot, but when you think about the ones you actually want to be signed to, it's really like, it's a smaller industry than you think.
That's awesome. Do you think actors should try to sign with anyone, or should they focus on like what you did, focus on this top 10 or 20 that I really, really, really like, and then go after those?
It just depends. So if you're wanting to do more actual like modeling, print modeling, then you probably want to pay a lot more attention. But when you're doing theatrical, I think there's a lot more options. Yeah, you have like your top 5, but more than likely, if you're just coming in, you're not going to get with them because they're referral based anyways. But you can still secure, when you're submitting to these, like theatrically, you want to make sure there's no one on their roster that looks like you, or else what's the point? Because you don't want competition in your own home. And also they may not sign you because they already have a you. So if anything, just look at the roster and then see about, like, I look for aesthetics. So I'm like, okay, I see these people, it looks like they sign like some pretty hip, cool people. This looks like a place that may attract what I want. Because each agency, in my opinion, has a law of attraction to what they naturally get. So I would pay attention to stuff like that too.
That's really cool. Is that the same way that you look at saying yes to a project? And I'm almost referring to something that comes directly to you. I'm pretty sure that on Instagram you probably have directors and producers and people that just hit you up, hey, I would like to cast you for this. How do you decide on that? And what advice would you give to people when they're getting, like, actors and actresses who are getting those requests? What should they look for so they don't get like burned or like work on a shitty project that everything goes horrible?
Dang. Well, first look at the person who's asking you, you know, like look at their social media, like how do they post? Or if they have like a website or something, look at their work. Is their work a reflection of something you want to be a part of? You know, just because someone's asking you to be a part of something and you really want to act, this is a reflection of you too. You don't know what the project will or won't do, but just make sure that, like, I keep saying aesthetics because the story could be good and it could be shot really, really bad. And no one's going to say, oh, that's some poor directing. Oh, the sound man didn't do his job. They're going to be like, I don't know about that movie. Why you do that movie? You know, all they see is you. So just make sure whatever they're asking of you is a reflection of how you see yourself in the long run. That's how I start thinking about projects. Like, yeah.
That's really cool. So you have gone out of just acting and modeling, and you're also doing some other things. You're writing, you have your podcast. Tell me a little bit about that entire like creative flow and like all of these things that we keep like different balls in the air that makes everything harder, but at the same time I feel like it helps you like to keep going.
It's true. So like in this industry, you, as you know, Axel, like it's very self-motivating, right? Like you have to choose to wake up and pursue this. If you don't, you're not gonna make no money, you're not gonna get no clients, you ain't gonna have no scripts, nothing moves unless you decide it moves. Mm-hmm. So in doing that, like you can go through burnouts, because like I do a lot of auditions, and like I said, the percentage that I actually book versus what I'm putting out is night and day, right? So it's good to have other projects, passion projects that you're like, your only talent isn't going to be acting. You have more talents that you're great at. So make sure you live and do things that you like. I'm a natural storyteller. I grew up with my grandma. She's a natural storyteller. Like we have so many laughs just standing in the living room telling stories about somebody at the grocery store. Like this lady did this, let me tell you, you know, like just storytellers. So that's what my podcast is storytelling. And my book, like the nightly affirmation journal, it is like a story within itself, and it's a way for other people to create their own stories every day, because that's something I'm good at. And when I'm able to like finish my own projects, then I still see progress in my life outside of being judged every day from other people, because we like her audition was great, but she has like kind of freckles. I kind of wanted someone with no freckles. And she's 5'7". I wanted someone who was 5'6". You know, like I can't control that.
So how do you deal with that, Paris? Because that's something that for actors, I did some acting when I was younger. I would like to do more acting just for fun, but I would not pursue acting as a career because it's so tricky.
Yeah.
It's like what you just said of like you're too tall or too short, too this or too that. How do you deal with that like ongoing? Does it get better after 100 no's and then you just...
I think that I'm knee deep in, like I've already made up my mind. I've already come all the way from Columbus, Ohio to Los Angeles. The least I can do is make it. That's my mindset. The least I can do for myself is be great. Like I didn't come here to do anything but be great. So that's my mentality. And like even my husband, I tell him all the time, I go on rants, I'm like, nah, I gotta get myself together, because the least I can do is be great. Like I'm not playing, okay? Y'all gonna see me. I'm gonna be an A-lister. That's how I feel about myself. So that's what, that fire, you gotta like keep reigniting your own fire, because it will burn low sometime. But you just gotta keep going the best way you know how.
So the least I can do is be great.
The least I can do for myself is be great. I'm gonna make it. That's what I tell myself.
I love that. I really like your book. I got it like the first week. The first week that came out, and it's very interesting. I was not expecting that at all. I was like, oh, Paris has a book. Yeah, I'll get it. Like I got it just to support you.
I love that.
And then when I got it, I was like, oh, this is serious. Like I should have to sit down and think about this. How do you see mindset and all the things that you are putting in your head reflecting in your career and everything that you're doing?
Well, first off, thank you for getting the book. I actually revamped it. It looks so cool now. It's got color and everything. But as far as mindset goes, mindset is everything. And that's, so along my journey, I took a writing class. I went back to college for a little bit within like these past couple years. And I learned that I really loved writing. I already knew I was a good storyteller, but I loved writing. And in that, I also learned that I really loved thought processing. Like how how people naturally function. If you pay attention to the room, you could literally, if you understand how people think naturally, just based off perception, then you can relate or communicate with anyone, like anyone. And that's an art that I really love. So when I think about mindset, it's like a passion of mine. And I'm always thinking like, okay, how can this be this? Like you hear people talk about laws of attraction. You hear people talk about realms and things that people operate in versus, I don't know, this or that. It's a passion of mine. But if anything, if you just always think to yourself highly, then highly things will happen. It's really simple, but it can be intricate too. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that if you take the time to imagine the things that you want and you feel great about them, they're going to happen. It's the law of the universe. It's how this thing is coded.
For me, I see it as more a practical thing. Like I hear all of that, and to me, it sounds a little bit too much like I can't control it. But I've seen that work. And my theory on it is you're just paying attention to something that you're imagining for yourself. And because you're paying attention to that, is the difference between saying yes to being on the podcast to say no. Like if you think highly of yourself, you will think, this is what my exercise is, would the future Axel that I want to be doing this? And if the answer is yes, even if I'm afraid, even if it's hard, I'll still do it. And I think that's the little trick of micro decisions where, you could go to the beach, or you could work a little bit more on your book. You could go and have breakfast with friends, or you could come here at 8 a.m. and do a podcast on a Saturday. Like those little things, I think, make a compound effect over time. And I've seen it with your career, where I've seen you stay consistent, and then little by little, it's like you see what some people might look at and say, oh, Paris, she's so great. She's always doing all these commercials and all this like acting and the films and this and that. And I've seen you for like years doing a little bit more every time. So how do you envision like the next 3-5 years? What are those things that you're imagining for yourself that you want to? Because I want to, this is my selfish mind, right? I want to have you here on the podcast saying these things, and then 3-5 years from now, when you make it big, I get to have that little clip of Perry saying, I'm going to do this, and then it happens.
Dang, that's deep. Okay, well, first off, what you said was very profound. I didn't even know what you realized you said was so profound. So there are these things that I recognize called synchronicities in your life, right? Where you can probably think back years ago when you were significantly younger. You were probably doing something that was already similar to this, but this is just another level of that thing. Mm-hmm. And so when you pay attention to the synchronicities in your life, when they start to resurface on another level, you'll start to see that I am actually making progress. And when you see those progresses, then you can say, oh, okay, I feel great about myself. And that will actually help motivate you to keep going. So like to answer your question, being here today is a manifestation of something I see for myself, because it gives me a platform to start telling my story and using my voice. And my voice and my story is it's a very big thing when it comes to my likeliness. It will transform a lot of lives and things of that nature. So for me, what I see for myself in the next 3 to 5 years, let's see, my podcast, Free Writes and Perspectives, is going to be one of the most sought after, listened to podcasts. People are going to be talking about how their lives just changed because they listened to a blah, blah, blah episode. My book, The Nightly Affirmation Journal, is going to fuel dreamers, thinkers, and innovators all over the world. And people are going to be talking about how they just did these 30 nights and their life just shifted and they don't know what happened. They discovered their passions, their obsessions. They found their community. Like all of that jazz. And then on top of that, you know, your girl gonna be an A-lister, cause period, okay? Like, I don't got time. I'm sitting here with Axel today, and then I'm gonna be sitting on Oprah's show in a few years talking about Oprah, girl, let me tell you, girl, okay? That's where we go. I'm gonna be A-lister. Shoot.
100%. I believe it. And that's why I wanted to also do the podcast, to surround myself with people that I believe are on that path. Because that's what I want too. I want to be directing and producing like $200 million movies all over the world, like blockbuster. It's just so freaking hard. But we have to start with little steps and with little things and going forward with that. So how do you train, if we can get now in more like specific tactic, like we covered the mindset and thinking about all of that. Now tell me about the day-to-day specific actions and things that you do, and how are you thinking about it? Either classes, training, workout at the gym, diet, like all the things that you're putting into place to get to those goals.
Okay, well, a typical day in my life, Axel. What do? I wake up groggy like everyone else. I stutter step to go wash my face. You know, you'd be like, you know, you'd be all stiff in the morning. I don't know why I'm so stiff in the morning, but it's just not pretty. Gotta make the coffee. You got your sugar cup of coffee over there. And then I go check my email, and I'm like, what emails I got? Oh, I got an audition for this. This looks interesting. This doesn't look interesting. But hey, it's part of the game. Let me go put my face on. Look, I don't wake up every day thinking, oh, great, I get to audition. I want to feel that way. That's something I tell myself, like, you get to do this. You get to do this. But the truth is, I just want to book a series, okay? I want to be a series regular on a major project. So you know what? I don't have to get up and worry about auditioning because I'm too busy. I can't do it any daggone way. I need to go up to Paramount so I can film my show. But that ain't happened yet. So you just do it. There's no real formula. You just do it. If you know you need to look good for the camera, then you just gonna have to work out. You can't sit and think you're going, every day can't look the same. That's boring. Like, but if there's just certain things you know you need to do. You need to drink some water at least some point throughout the day. You need to work out. You got to eat. You got to do your auditions. You got to self-submit. Whatever you know you have to do, you just have to do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it, and things will start to happen.
So you said something in there about finding, when you were talking about your book, you said something about finding your community and your tribe and all that. So you live here in LA, everyone hears all the stories about people in LA being fake. The other day I was in New York and someone asked me, oh, I feel like people in LA are fake. And then I'm like, why? Like, I haven't had that experience. Yeah. What has been your experience being here, and your connections with other actors and actresses and other filmmakers and like photographers and people in the industry in general?
I think people are just people. I think once you take the expectations away from people, then they're just people everywhere you go. I mean, fake, not fake. I mean, you could perceive someone as being fake, but they may perceive themselves as being their authentically them. Good, bad, it's all like a perspective thing. It doesn't really matter. When you're around your people and you're vibing, you know you're vibing. You're a creator, you get around other creators, it's gonna be a vibe. You know, I don't know, people are people.
So how did you meet your husband, and how was that whole process? If we can get into that. So I think that's interesting.
I got hired to be a model on a pilot for a scene, and he was one of the producers, and he was really cool, and we just started hanging out. I thought we were just gonna be friends, because I'm like I'm a social person. Like, I told you I came here to win, so if I see cool people, I'm like, yeah, I want to be cool with that person and that person, genuinely though, like. And then we were hanging out, and then, you know, he started to like me.
Yeah, he's standing right there. That's why I'm asking the question.
You know, he was liking me or whatever, and then I'm just kidding. No, it organically happened. Like, when you meet someone who is like just exceptional, you know you're dealing with someone exceptional. And then also he operated in confidence. Like, I didn't feel like I was guessing, or, you know, you could be dating and you have to like play games or whatever. He wasn't that kind of guy. He was just very straightforward in what he wanted. And I like that. So here we are today.
That's awesome. So I'm very happy for you. I think it's kind of rare to find young people married in our industry. I got married very young before I came to America, and I'm not married anymore. And it's rare to see people my age. I got married when I was 21.
Wow.
And I was married for about 10 years. It's rare to see people being married in their 30s now in LA.
Yeah.
So why do you think is that, and like what?
I think it's because of like culture, like pop culture makes it seem like you need to shop around. You need to find yourself before you find someone. But to be honest, like, I wish I heard about this sooner. You know, I didn't grow up with people just happily married. I didn't really see many married people in my life, period. And the ones I did see, they were like cheating on each other or something. So it just didn't look functional. But now that I am young and married, I'm like, I wish I heard about this sooner. Like, I think people should marry young. The younger, the better. I mean, you know, at least 21 or something. But if you find your high school sweetheart, that's cool too. You should marry young, because it blocks out the world. Like, let me tell you, I don't have to deal with guys trying to talk to me and stuff. And if they do, I'm just like, I'm married, darling. I can focus on the stuff I want to focus on. Is a lot more quiet. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. There's no noise.
Yeah, especially when you are with someone that supports you and like you guys can work together and build something together. So what advice would you give to young actresses coming to LA when it comes to dating and that whole scene? What would you tell them?
Well, you said actresses, so I guess we're talking about women. Mm-hmm. So I would say come to LA with the mindset of you're gonna win. Like, you come here for a reason. Understand that's why you came. Don't get trapped up trying to go to everybody's party, don't do that. Just come here, do what you know you need to do, and come with the mindset that you're someone's wife, because that is actually a really good title to have. And like I said, when you come with that mentality, then you'll attract like-minded. And when you meet young men who are operating in that, it just makes life a lot. Like, it's okay to be like, I'm someone's wife, and just be open to that and just do what you gotta do. Like, you ain't gotta shop around. Don't shop around. You already know what you like when you see it. You see some shoes you never seen before, you know when you like them. You be like, I'm gonna get them shoes. It's the same thing, okay? And let the man find you. You ain't gotta find him. That's out of order. Let the man be the man, okay? That's it.
That's pretty cool. So Paris, you get a script, you start reading the character, you know, you're auditioning for this person, you get the role, and then you start working on it. Mm-hmm. What's your process like? I'm just curious. I want to learn because I want to be a better director. So what goes through your head when you're reading all of that and when you're on set and like trying to do the scene?
Well, as far as memorization goes, I have a pretty solid short-term memory bank. So I can kind of take it in and just say it a few times, like, yeah. But when I'm on set, what I like to do is I really like to talk to the director personally. And I love when a director is really hands-on, like, yeah, and I'm really feeling this, and she's this. So me personally, I just lean towards the director. I want to make their vision come out with my interpretation. I want to make sure they get what they need, because at the end of the day, as long as they're happy, I'm happy. If they love it, I love it. That's my mentality on set.
That's cool. Do you feel weird about seeing yourself later, you know, like 3 months later when you get a first cut and you see yourself? How's that process for you?
You know, I heard someone say the other day, they had asked another actress a question like, when you watch this back, do you see yourself or do you see the character? Because if you see the character, then more than likely you did a stellar job. And I was like, that's a good way to think about it. And typically I see the character, I don't see myself. So I like it. I don't know. If I just saw myself, then I might feel like I probably could have delivered that a little better. But when I just see the character, that's what I see, the character.
What do you do when you're stuck, like you're on a scene, and you're doing take after take after take, and it's not flowing?
I realize, that's happened before. But to be honest, a lot of times if that does happen, which it doesn't happen often because, okay, I'm a one-hitter quitter. No, I'm just kidding. No, it doesn't happen often, but if it does happen, it's usually because the lighting or something is off, or maybe the director is seeing something that has nothing to do with what I'm doing, honestly. It's usually a production thing, but it can feel personal if no one's communicating. It can feel personal, so you gotta like be like, okay, if you need to take 5 minutes, then just go take the 5. Like, don't let people see you get unconfident, because it's just, nobody wants to see that. Time is money.
So the latest film that you worked on, that you work on with your husband, how was that process? It's a very emotionally charged film, and I'm pretty sure it was interesting, but at the same time sad. It's one of those pieces where it's like, oh great, we're making a good piece, but oh, it sucks that we're making this piece because this is actually happening in the world right now. How was that process working on that movie?
I'm still pretty new when it comes to film. A lot of my work is commercially driven, or it's not very heavily like with dialogue. So for me, that day when we recorded the court scene, in my head I was like, remember your lines, just remember your lines, just remember your lines. That's it. I've been doing theater. I started doing theater when I was like 11. So it's like, as far as the art of acting, I've done it for a long time. So I'm never worried about my performance, because this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I'm born to do it. My mom named me Paris because she wanted me to have a stage name. Those are her words, not mine. So this is where I'm meant to be. I just wanted to make sure I remember my lines. That's all. And it was hot in there that day. Yeah, it was hot. So I was hot, and I was like, remember your lines, just remember your lines. And even then, my husband, if he remembers, I even leaned towards him. I'm like, okay, is this how you want it done? And I remember him saying, oh, and when you say this line, put your arms out like this, you know? And so I just lean towards the director whenever I'm not sure. And he actually used that cut, because I'm like, people of the jury. So, yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you about social media, Instagram, like growing your account, all of that. What's your take on it?
I don't think I'm the person to talk about that, because I don't know how to do that.
Well, I wanted to see, like, what do you think about it? Like, is something that you pay attention? Has it come up when you're trying to audition for something?
Yeah, so there has been some auditions that come up, and they're like, how many TikTok followers do you have? We really like your influencer for this, blah, blah, blah. And at times like that, I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks, because not all of us are going to have 1 million followers until we book our series on a major network or whatever. But what I can say is, when I do post consecutively, like if I just post like a bunch of professional pictures or something, typically someone will actually DM me. I've booked quite a few shoots on my own through Instagram, like, hey, we'd love for you to model for this. And they're like legitimate Los Angeles shoots.
Right. Do you feel like it's like a catch-22? If you have the follower, if you don't have the followers, you don't get the role. But if you don't get the role, it's really hard to get the followers? No,
because I've booked a lot of projects, and it had nothing to do with social media. Social media is not going to dictate whether you become a great actress or just a working actress. But it is an asset. So if you do have the following, it can help. But again, I wouldn't consider myself having a following. And even I've booked multiple shoots on Instagram. Yeah. By just utilizing a couple hashtags.
So what has been your relationship with agents so far? Have you stayed with the same agency from when you came here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for me, I've pretty much had the same agent since I first came here. I will say there are levels, like we know you got your CAAs and your Paradigms, like your bigger ones who are really owning the industry when it comes to representation. But overall, like, as long as you're getting auditions and you're able to like consecutively do it, it'll work. You'll start to book something.
So Paris, if you could do any project, I always ask people this question. Time is not a problem, money's not a problem. What would you love to do?
I would love to do an action film starring me, of course. Badass, kicking some, like Columbiana, Tomb Raider type feels, okay? And then of course I would love to do like a series where I was like the fashionista pretty girl with kind of like a spicy edge. You hate her, but dang, you love her. That outfit is fly. Where'd she get that? Who did her hair? Those are probably like my top two.
That's hilarious. So for this action movie, are you training? Are you doing fighting?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of fight training under my belt. So me and my husband actually filmed a project recently, and he's like cutting it. I'm like, dang, that's me. Like I look sweet. I'm not making it up. Like I look legit. So yeah, I've been fight training.
So what do you like about fighting and stuff like that? I've been doing some fight training too. Because I want to direct that big blockbuster movie that you want to do.
Yeah, cast me, Axel. Stop playing.
Yeah, so I'm learning how to fight too, and it helps like tremendously to know what to shoot, but also helps me as a guy to like, I know I can throw some punches and I can knock some people out if we need to. How has that worked out for you? What are you training? What's your favorite like thing that you're doing with fighting?
Well, it's interesting enough, that gig you were talking about when we first met, the music video, I had just started training then. So there was like this, like my spirit was telling me to just start training. So I like was running and Canyon because I was in Hollywood at the time, and I was training. Like I just felt like this warrior spirit, and then I ended up booking that after. And so from there, I just continued taking like fight for film classes and things like that. And I find that it's another asset. You know, the more you're able to do in this industry, the better. Not that I'm trying to be like a stunt person. I'm good on that. But as an actress, having that precision and having that asset on top of everything else just makes me a stronger actress.
Thank you so much. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you send the episode to a friend, and we'll see you in another one.